We gather together today as the dear family and friends of Yefim Shor. As we mourn his loss, must also celebrate the full, rich life he led. Death has taken our beloved. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For his love that united us in life, and which death cannot sever. For his companionship, which we shared along life's path, and which still continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and his mind, which brought us joy and happiness, and now become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, God, we give you our praise. In his sorrow, Job cried out, Adonai natan v'nai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. An ancient people, we are well acquainted with grief and with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us. Yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and there is strength in faith. With Job we say, Adonai natan, God you have given. You gave us a loved one who will not be forgotten. For all was good and enduring in his life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. A poem entitled To My Father. A giant pine, magnificent and old, stood staunch against the sky, and all around shed beauty, grace, and power. Within its fold, birds safely reared their young. Beneath was gentle, and the cooling shade gave cheer to passers-by. Its towering arms a landmark stood, erect and unafraid, as if to say, Fear naught from life's storms. But it fell one day. Where it had dauntless stood was loneliness and void. But men who passed, paid tribute, said, To know this life was good. It left its mark on me. Its work stands fast. And so it lives, such life no bonds can hold. This giant pine, magnificent and bold. Psalm 15. Adonai, mi yagor b'ohalecha, mi yishkom b'har kodshecha. Adonai, God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain? A man of integrity, who acts justly and speaks truth in his heart, who has no slander on his tongue, who does no evil to his friend, and has no insult for his neighbor, who has contempt for the wicked but honors those who fear God, who gives his word and come what may does not retract, who does not exploit others for gain nor take bribes against the innocent. One who lives in this way shall never be shaken. He's achieved success, who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has gained the respect of intelligent men and the love of little children, who has filled his niche and accomplished his task, who has left the world better than he found it, whether by an improved poppy, a perfect poem, or a rescued soul, who has never lacked appreciation of earth's beauty or failed to express it, who has always looked for the best in others and given the best he had, whose life was inspiration, whose memory a benediction. Amen. Psalm 23. Adonai, ro'i lo echsar, bino desha yarbiseni, almei minachot yinachaleni. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters, and restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. The Baal Shem Tov, the Hasidic Rebbe, once observed that there are 3 ways we mourn. The first is with tears, the second is with silence, and the third is with song. When we mourn someone truly beloved, we experience all 3. Tears at first, then silence as our grief settles more deeply, and finally song as we're able to celebrate the memories we hold deep in our hearts. So today is a time for tears as we say our final goodbyes to Yefim. We'll each remember him in our own way. Nina, you will remember Yefim as your devoted husband. Mila and Michael, you remember him as your dear father. Yefim was a beloved grandfather to Larry and a devoted great-grandfather to Sawyer. Yefim was born on April 20th, 1931, to Fanya and David Shor in a little shtetl called Kapreshti, which is in what is now Moldova. He was an only child. As a young boy, Yefim went to cheder school, where he learned to read and write in Yiddish. And as he got older, he was sent to a Romanian school. And because he was left-handed, the teachers beat him with a ruler. Up until his last days, he could write equally well with both hands from this ordeal. Yefim's parents had a little house goods store. His father was also a shoemaker. In 1940, his father was drafted into the Soviet army. As World War II started, Yefim and his mother were evacuated, but the Romanians stopped them and took them to the Renitsa ghetto instead. Yefim was only 10 years old, but he was forced to do hard physical labor, unloading rail cars or working in the farm fields. His mother, Fanya, was forced to work in the kitchen of the colonel, whose wife was so mean. If she didn't like something she was served, she took a hammer and knocked out Fanya's teeth. In March of 1944, the Germans and Romanians began to retreat and started killing everyone who remained alive. A Ukrainian family hid Yefim and Fanya in their basement, and that is how they survived. Yefim's father, David, was wounded but returned after the war and moved his family to Kishinev. Yefim graduated high school there and then attended college and became a civil engineer in building construction. He began as an engineer and worked his way up to become manager of a construction firm. In 1957, Yefim met his beloved Nina. They were both dating different people in the same group of friends. In fact, he was dating Nina's best friend. On May 1st, they broke up with their respective girlfriend and boyfriend and went on a date on May 2nd. And just 2 weeks later, on May 15th, they went to get a marriage license. Yefim and Nina shared 61 wonderful years together. They were an absolutely beautiful couple. You could see how much they loved one another. 1 year later, Mila was born. Yefim was the most dedicated husband, father, and son to his parents. Family always came first for him, and everything he did was for the people he loved. When his grandson Larry was born, that was his greatest love and joy. In 1991, Mila and Larry immigrated to the United States, and then Yefim and Nina joined them a year after. America became his beloved homeland. Yefim was 60 years old when he arrived, but on his third day in Cleveland, he found a job, painting houses both inside and out. Yefim loved to spoil his family any way he could. He loved to give gifts and money to his grandson and daughter and buy fine things for his wife. Yefim had such a big and kind heart. He loved to help everyone around him. If there was anything he could do, even for people he didn't know, he would do it. That was just the kind of man he was. Yefim was a great handyman around the house. He fixed things and he helped Nina in the kitchen. He also developed a new talent, painting nature scenes, and he was quite good. Yefim enjoyed coming to Park Synagogue for services. And Yefim was thrilled when his great-grandson Sawyer was born. Yefim absolutely adored him, his love shining through his eyes whenever he looked at him. Unfortunately, dementia stole Yefim from his family, but he had an enormous amount of love for people and for life. He was dedicated, energetic, loving, and generous. Yefim had a beautiful smile and a kind heart, and this is how he will be remembered. And so today may be a time for tears. We're saddened by the loss of Yefim, but we learn much from him, especially how to care for one another. Let these tears serve to strengthen and hold you as a family. There's a story about a rabbi in our tradition. He once passed an old man planting trees. "Old man," he called, "why are you planting those trees? You'll never live to see them blossom." But the man replied, "My ancestors planted trees, not for themselves but for us, that we might enjoy their shade and their fruit. I too do the same for all those who will come after me." Yefim planted an orchard for each one of us, an orchard filled with devotion and with love, and these will always be here for us. We must be grateful that we're able to share in his life. Tomorrow there'll be fewer tears, more silence. As the Baal Shem Tov noted, it will be a time for pondering, a time for contemplation. Yefim will become a greater part of our characters and our beings as we integrate the memories and the values he taught us into our own selves. But finally, there'll come a time for song. The time will come when we can celebrate Yefim, when we recall how he touched us and each of our lives, and how much we learned from him. May he rest in peace. Zecher Sadik Livracha. May the memory of Yefim Shor be a blessing. Amen. I'd now like to invite Michael to share some personal words about his father-in-law, and then we'll hear from Yefim's grandson, Larry.
No, they came from another door. First of all, thank you very much for coming and for saying final goodbye to Yefim and to celebrate his life. My name is Michael, and I am the only son-in-law of Yefim. And to tell the truth, I never felt like a son-in-law because he always treated me as a real son. And I never called him Yefim. He was just Fima to me. And I understand that losing a husband and a father, that's the most terrible, the most tough things in people's life. And that is why I am standing up here before you, but not Nina and Mila, because they are really sensitive, emotional women, and neither of them can talk now. If you ask me to characterize Fima, his character, by one word, I will say generosity. Look at his smile. It's so kind. And it's absolutely irresistible. And the way how Nina fell in love with Fima on the first sight, obviously this smile played a role. And it worked to me too. And I'll tell you the story. When I just started dating my now wife, Mila, at that time my uncle, who was a famous scientist and my idol, he was visiting us. And I decided to introduce him to Mila and to ask for his blessing. So we stopped at Mila's condos, and that's where we saw Nina and Fima for the first time. After this date, I asked my uncle what he thought about Mila. And instead of asking this question, he said, "Did you see the Fima smile?" So that was the major thing. And of course, I got his blessing. I hope that we will remember this smile for the rest of our life, at least our family. And if you ask me how to say in one word about Nina's and Fima's life, and the first word which is coming to my mind, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful couple, always nicely dressed, incredibly good in dancing, caring for each other. They were beautifully caring for each other. And there were so many other things. So I hope that we will continue taking care of Nina. We will make your life as easy as possible. We just promise you. Fima died in a sleep. And because of his dementia, he could not say final goodbye to us. But I'm absolutely sure if he could, he would ask us to remember his smile. And he would say that his smile will help us in the bad times and in the good times. So that's what I want to do, just asking you to remember his smile. Thank you. Can I just maybe translate in Russia a short version of what I said? Basically, две вещи. Самое главное – это то, что Фима имел абсолютно неотразимую улыбку. Он все время улыбался и был, может быть, самый добрый человек, когда-либо я встречал. И эта улыбка ему помогла, как я думаю, как, может быть, Нина думает тоже, Мерит, жениться на Нине. Эта улыбка помогла мне один раз, потому что когда я спросил своего дядю, который был мой кумир, его мнение о Миле, после того, как он встретил ее и ее родителей, он не сказал мне даже свое мнение. Он начал с того, что он был потрясен Фиминой улыбкой, насколько она была открытая и добрая. И вторая вещь главная, которую я сказал, это то, что если одним словом охарактеризовать Фимину жизнь с Ниной, то это была прекрасная жизнь, абсолютно прекрасная. Они прекрасная пара, они очень здорово танцевали, одевались. У них было очень приятно всегда зайти в квартиру, которая была декорейт, это убрано исключительно. И последнее, это то, что я прошу вас всех помнить его улыбку. Вот так запомнить Фиму, его улыбку. Посмотрите на этот портрет. Thank you.
Invite Larry to come forward.
Do I speak into the mic or doesn't matter? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on such a short notice. Michael is a tough act to follow, and I seem to do so at weddings and now funerals. Yesterday morning, I got a phone call at like 6 in the morning from my mom that and I knew what the call was about. This is one of those circumstances where we were celebrating a life, where we knew it was coming, and we want to look at everything that this man has meant to us. I went to when we came here to their funeral home. When I was leaving, we were just waiting for a confirmation about when this is gonna take place. If it's gonna be today at 9:30, or at a later date. I got busy with certain things in the day, and I think at about 4 o'clock, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I haven't heard from Mom yet. Is this happening today or not?" And when I called her, I was like, because the last thing I did when I'm leaving this place, I asked I asked her to give me a call once it's confirmed. And when I called her at 4 o'clock, I asked her, is this going down today? And her answer was, "Oh, you didn't know?" I was like, "Yeah, it's going down. It's on Facebook." So it's kind of funny. It's an interesting world that we live in. I didn't want, I wanted support of family, and I didn't want to, bother a lot of my friends. My best friend is here today. He came thanks to Facebook and the world that we live in. I think overall, it's an interesting question when you ask about the essence or a measure of a man. And I know, like in my grandpa's case, the testaments of the size of this audience is probably not it. I think we can look at it as a reflection of that his time spent was all on family. He was a very generous, giving man to everyone that he came across, and a great example of a humanitarian to me. I think, even growing up when we were younger, I remember in Russia was obviously a lot different than it is growing up here. When we used to go places, there was a lot of people that he introduced me to when we'd go to pick up groceries, which we'd walk in behind the scenes of an entrance into the grocery store because of someone he knew or someone who you could tell respected him, I guess is the word. And there's many people like that he introduced me to. At a certain point in my life, he became my father figure, and his life and generosity was really given to his family first and foremost. He loved my grandma unconditionally. You felt that every single day. I don't think I've ever even seen them really argue. They disagreed, sure, but it was always in a loving and let's move past this, and this is not going to phase us type of way. And I think that's how they had such a wonderful marriage until the very end. And that you saw that the love that they had for one another. He had the same love towards my mom and me that he exhibited all the time. I don't think there was ever a time that we didn't feel that from him. So I will always remember him as someone who basically devoted his life to his family first and foremost. And thank you everyone for coming, and we will all miss him a lot, but he's taught us valuable lessons that we will keep forever and we'll pass on to the next generation.
Thank you both for your beautiful words. Let's pause for a moment of silence as we each remember Yefim in our own hearts. Do you want to say something? Yes? You want to say something? Oh, someone, yeah. Someone's asked.
Вот еще один ушел в мир иной, а может быть не иной, но ушел. Прекрасный человек, спокойный, заботливый, справедливый, грамотный. Меня с ним объединяло то, что он живет точно в такой же квартире жил, как и я, только этажом ниже. И я о нем могу сказать только очень хорошее. Прекрасный человек. Наш дом заполнен специфическими жильцами. специфичность заключается в том, что все мы люди в возрасте. И такие дома обычно называют братской могилой. Тогда и же Бог, чтобы эта могила не заполнялась так быстро. Мир праху ему, пусть земля ему будет пухом. Он был прекрасный человек. Вот это все, что я могу о нем сказать, как его ближайший сосед, от которого меня отделяло только потолок мой и его пол. Пусть ему будет земля пухом. А его родным и близким я могу сказать, ну что поделаешь, таково течение жизни. Все мы уходим, и у каждого наступит, конечно, такой час. Надо крепиться, держать себя в руках и держать в памяти этого прекрасного человека.
Thank you. Okay.
Несколько слов, потому что если он ушел, то его душа еще сегодня здесь. И он слышит, и ему, наверное, будет приятнее слышать по-русски, потому что человек был действительно необыкновенный. Мы знаем, что людей неинтересных в мире нет. Их судьбы, как истории планет. В каждой есть особое свое, только присущее этому человеку. Еще не прозвучало, что Фима был, в отличие от нас, которые помнят войну, он не был эвакуирован, а он был где-то. И 3 года, когда ему было 10, 11, 12, и мальчик видел страшные вещи, вот я думаю, что его болезнь была следствием, может быть, тех побоев, которые он получал. Он мне рассказывал, что маме его выбили все зубы, ну даже больше, если ничего, то не было, то даже один этот факт уже достаточен, чтобы сломать человека. И то, что этот человек не был сломлен, и мы слышали много замечательных слов на английском и русском языке, а в нашем доме, где мы живем, когда вчера я звонила, люди, может быть, даже не зная имени, это та красивая пара. Эту пару в этом доме называли вот эта красивая пара. Оба высокие, стройные, красивые. И, конечно, семья замечательная. И мы все будем помнить этого человека, который знал немножко румынский, немножко молдавский. И, конечно, был грамотным человеком и в русской культуре. Будем его помнить. Это все, что мы можем. И он сейчас нас еще слышит, и он знает, что хороших людей, а он еще обладал, необыкновенным чувством юмора. Эта улыбка была потому, что юмор был в нем. Он умел сострить, уже даже когда был болен. И умел понимать юмор. И это так важно. Вот память, память, память.
Thank you. Let's rise now, if you're able, for El Malei Rachamim. Please rise, if you can. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachet Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Tehorim, Kazora Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat, Chaim Ben David Vifega, Shalachah La'olamo. Baal harachamim yastirechu beseter kenafav laolamim. Vayitzrar bitzrar hachayim et nishmato. Ananaychu nachalato. V'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our beloved Yefim Shor, known in our tradition as Chaim, son of Ben David Vifega, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. Amen. You may be seated for just a moment. This concludes our service here, and we'll proceed from here to Beit Olam Cemetery for burial. And following the burial, the family will be receiving friends at Europa restaurant.